Good morning. Welcome to Monday Morning Brew with Germaine. How is everyone doing coming out of this past weekend? The one thing I can say with daylight savings time, which I forgot, thank God our watches and everything automatically update for us, but it is absolutely beautiful weather today. Yeah, believe it or not, after all that snow, yes, we have beautiful weather. Hopefully, I don't know, it might reach 60 today here in Connecticut. Strange, this weather. But how's everybody doing? Let me get my coffee. Hope you can hear me okay. Okay. Let me know if you're chiming in from afar. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I always want to know where you're chiming in from. Also, what are you drinking this morning? I'm drinking coffee. And I have my Ezra coffee that I am drinking, one of our new sponsor partners. And so, but let's get into it. This being Women's Month, so I decided that we're going to highlight women throughout the month. And so, and we also included our Blacks in Fact. So we're going to continue that on in partnership with Teresa Merritt Watson and her Blacks in. blacks-in.com is where you can go and purchase her calendar. You see it in the background, right? All right, so hope everybody's doing good. Not going to hold you long today, but today the message is your story belongs in literature. Your story belongs in literature. So let's take a moment so we can take a pause because we're going to pour into some purpose, okay? All right, guys. So sometimes we think our stories are too painful, too personal, or too ordinary to matter. Does any one of those apply to you? Is that how you feel about your story? And so a part of you feel like nobody really wants to know about it, right? It doesn't really matter. It does. Your story matters. I will always encourage that. Your story matters. Okay. Okay. So history tells a different story a lot of times. Some written begin as someone, well, let me say this. Some of the most powerful books, and you may have read a few yourself. Some of the most powerful books ever written begins as someone simply just telling the truth about their life. So, I was in the middle of actually when I came on. Hold on one second. I just want to make sure that I turn my ringer off so it doesn't ring while we're in the midst of today's morning brew conversation. Okay. All right. But when you think about some of the most powerful books, and maybe even some that you have written, that you have read, some of those books pretty much was just someone telling their honest story, being truthful about their story, the pain of their story, whether it was, personal to them. They told it and it became some of the powerful stories that we read today, we learn from today. And so, good morning, Leslie. Hello, my sister. Always good to have you chime in for Morning Brew. I think I've gotten spoiled, Leslie, because I look for you to chime in. But I appreciate you so much. And on a quick note, girl, tomorrow's Tuesday, and you know what that means. Tuesday, yes, I will be going live on TikTok. I'm just going to shift from our story real quick. Our topic, your story belongs in literature. But let me just take this quick break and tell you, those out there that's watching, that yes, Tuesdays during lunch hours starting at 12:30, We're going to try our hand again at going live on TikTok. This time we're going to promote it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to advertise it so we can invite people to come over to the spillover, the Morning Brew spillover on TikTok. And let me just put up real quickly our TikTok uh advertisement. Look, but yes, we will be going. Hold on, I'm just grabbing this real quick. Um but yes, Tuesdays we will be going live on TikTok. It's been a long time coming. Actually, TikTok is a little is so much different than YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. It's so much different over in that space. But hold on, because now I'm trying to figure out where. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. I just want to pull this up to let everyone know that Tuesdays, um, 12:30 Eastern Standard Time during lunch hour will be the spillover for Morning Brew in our TikTok space. Now, what you're going to find over there is pretty much it is going to be more Q&A, more engaging with the audience, with those that are chiming in. But what I decided to do also, because there's so many things that we want to talk about or we want to even learn, is we're going to share some of our bite-sized learning over there. Now, bite-sized learning is things that we deal with every day that we're always looking for answers for, right? So I thought about this after my first TikTok experience last Tuesday, that I think that was more trial and error. Let me figure out, how does this even work? And I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. When I go back there tomorrow, Tuesday, it's gonna be me still trying to figure it out because I really don't know how TikTok works. So I just want you to get a heads up, but I would love to invite everybody over that engages in our morning brew Monday through Friday. I would love to invite you over into the morning brew with Germaine on TikTok. Help me out if you're someone used to being on TikTok. Leslie, you were a huge help to me last Tuesday on TikTok, trying to figure some things out. And even throwing questions at me, asking questions. And that's what led me to want to bring the bite-sized learning over there. Bite-sized learning is pretty much Q&A. We're going to talk about some things that may be on your heart. Now, what's interesting is right now we're in a space. So when I think about some of the bite-sized learning that we're going to do, the tips and everything, I think about where people are and what people are looking for right now. So, if you're an entrepreneur, business tips. If you definitely have a story and you want to know, okay, what do I do now that I have this story and I want to progress forward with my story, my book, what do I do? What does that look like? Um, Whatever it may be, let's just talk about it. If I don't have the answers, I'm quite sure hopefully somebody that's joining us, they may be able to engage also. Okay. But anyway, let's try our hand at TikTok tomorrow. Okay. On Tuesdays at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Guys, we're gonna have some fun with it. So I hope you can be an encouragement and show up over on TikTok tomorrow if you got a few minutes to pop in and just say hi. Okay. All right. And possibly just hit the hearts. I guess you could tap your screen and hit the hearts. We'll figure it all out. But let's get back into this message. I have to be honest, I am having so much fun with trying to figure all this out, the engagements, the community, really, meeting people over in my school community. Yes, I want to talk about that real quick before we get back into our message. But you know what I realized in the school community, and I hope you have an opportunity, if you have not already, to join in our school community, and it is skool.com/morning brew with Germaine. And I'll put it up on the screen as well. But I hope you have an opportunity to stop by, because you know what? I have met people from all over the world. I literally have teamed up with somebody over in Spain that has been so helpful. You never know who you might meet and where your next open door opportunity may come from. You never know. So, but definitely, if you get a chance, stop by the school community, and it's free. Just chime in. And also, the Builders Lab is open. The Builders Lab is open. You can go at your own pace and you can go and get some information that you need, the tools you need to build your story and see your story grow into your entire ecosystem. So, all right, now we're getting back to the message. Let's get back to today's brew, which is your story belongs in literature. And so, all right, guys. So we was talking about, sometimes the most powerful books ever written begins as someone simply telling you the truth about their life. What begins as a personal testimony can become a cultural landmark. Your story may feel small when you're living it. It always happens when you're actually in it, but you have no idea how people looking at your story, how they see you, probably much bigger than you see yourself, right? And so, but when it's written, shared, and preserved, it becomes literature. And literature shapes generations. So, what I want to do before we go into our blacks, well, let me go there now. Nope, I'll hold off. Let's go into our pouring the purpose real quick, and then we'll go into our blacks in fact. Okay, the feature spotlight for who aligns with today's message. And so let's go into our pour into purpose moment. Okay, now let's begin to pour. Your experiences have narrative value. Your experiences have narrative value. I hope you believe that, okay? What you live through is not random. And I know some people have gone through some horrific things in their life. I've had the privilege to be able to publish some stories, whereas people have been transparent in just telling their truth. And I tell you, it'll bring tears to your eyes. But a lot of times, you will find yourself somewhere in someone else's story. So I want you to know that your story, your experiences have narrative value. So your journey carries lessons. Yes. I hope you all, because I push it a lot and I talk about it a lot, I hope you all really see the value in your story. Thank you so much for the like, Juanita Sanders Crib. It's been a long time. I'm so thankful that you took a moment and stopped by for Morning Brew. So thank you over on Facebook. Okay, so I hope you all really start getting a clear understanding that your story has power. Your story, it's yours. You've lived it. You have the receipts. It's your story, okay? And so your story documents history. Your story. Yes, I'm talking about your story. Okay, let's continue to pour a little more. Personal stories become cultural stories. One voice can represent millions. One voice. Think about the books that you read. Think about those that have gone on and their stories still resonate very strongly. Their presence still resonates very strongly. Okay. Still meaningful. So much purpose in it. Think about that. And then I want you to think about your story. And I don't want you to compare yourself to them or anyone else. Allow your story to stand on its own. Let it stand alone. Do not compare it to anyone else. They have their lived experiences. This is your lived experience, okay? And so I want you to really embrace your story. And it's almost like your story becomes like your DNA. It's yours. There's not another one like it, right? It's yours. There's always something unique. I don't care if someone's story seems like it aligns a little bit close to yours. There's always something slightly different about it. Okay. All right. So let's get back into the pouring to purpose. Books preserve voices that history tried to silence. That's the documentation part. It's so important documenting your story. Put it in a book. That's what we do at HOV Publishing here. Allow you to be able to take your story and create an intellectual property with it. take your story and help you to be able to put it in a marketplace so it can be monetized through people purchasing it. So your story is not just memories and thoughts that you have from what you've gone through. No, it's so much more. Your story, as I just said, your story can have um it can have answers to people's questions. Your story, all right? And so storytelling builds empathy and understanding. Let's continue to pour a little more. Your testimony may become someone's breakthrough. That is so powerful. That's why the Bible says we're overcomers by our testimony. Your testimony, you sharing your story, you sharing your experiences, you sharing how God has been able to bring you through, to set you free, to deliver you, to help you learn from it, to raise you up from it. Your story, your story. This is all your story. It's yours, your story. Okay, so readers discover themselves through your story. And I always want to go back to whose story are you reading? Whose stories have you read? Did you find yourself in their stories? Did you read it all the way through? Because if you did, that means something was resonating with you. It was holding your attention, right? So, stories create healing. Stories give language to struggle and triumph. I'm still talking about your story. Still talking about your story. All right. So now I want to talk about whose story from our Blacks in Fact. Whose story aligns with today's message? And I have Maya Angelou. Her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, becomes one of the most widely taught literary works in American schools. Her story did more than share her life, it gave voice to experiences many people have never seen written that such with such honesty and courage. And what she did, she took her story. It was hers. It was her story. So I also want to add here that as an American poet, a memoirist, civil rights activist, and Angelou is best known for series of 7 autobiographies which focus on her childhood and early adult experiences. Now listen to that. Her childhood and early adult experiences, which means this is her story, her journey that she actually took and she publicized it in her pure honesty of it, and people gravitated to it. As much pain as it may have been for her, it still opened up a floodgate for people to be able to gravitate and learn from it, okay? And also be able to find themselves somewhere aligned in it, maybe that motivated and inspired them, okay? Um, the first, I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, which I just mentioned in 1969, tells of her life up to the age of 17 and brought her international recognition and acclaim. All right, so Maya Angelou, we thank you, we salute you as our Black history, well, as our woman's, history, Blacks in Fact for today. And so, and remember the title, Your Story Belongs in Literature. She is the perfect example of just that. So we thank her for her contributions and that we can still see her legacy live on long after her words still transcend through time, long after she has been gone. So we thank her. So now let me get into something we all can take part in. We can all take part in our reflection questions. It is that time. Yes. Let's talk about it. I like to leave you two questions that pretty much take throughout your day. Really think about it. I always say let it brew a little steep. So you can really answer these questions. And so I want to say the first question is, what part of your story deserves to be documented? What part of your story deserves to be documented? Let me pull this off the screen. Let me say it again. I really want you to think about this. What part of your story deserves to be documented? Let's go to question number two. Who might need to hear the story you've been holding inside? Somebody's waiting. Let me say that again because hopefully, maybe this question might release something in you to say, you know what? Let me tell and share my story. And I want you to know if that is you and you need someone to help you take the steps in this journey. That's what we do at HOV Publishing. We will walk alongside of you to help you be able to get your story from within you into the marketplace. So now, whoever's waiting on your story to get the answers that they've been in search of, they can now get those answers that they've been longing to get because of your story. Okay. So, let's look at this. And I'll put this up on the screen too. If you are someone, let me put up HOV there. HOVpublishing.com. If you are someone that really you've been contemplating and you've been trying to figure it out, your story. And so, um, yes. And so with that, let me go into, I want you to think about those two questions. And from there, I'm gonna leave that with you. And if you want, I can just go through them really quickly, just so you know. First one, what part of your story deserves to be documented? And the second, who might need to hear the story you've been holding inside? Okay, so those reflection questions I'm leaving with you, and we're gonna move forward. So let's move forward into our final sip. This is where we bring it all together, summarizing, wrapping it up so I can send you on your journey with some things to think about, right? Okay. Thank you again for taking the time out. And if you ever need to or want to, just go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Morning Brew with Germaine. Click the notifications so you never miss a conversation with us. And you never know who may show up in the studio, but you can go through the vault over there. Make sure you check out Fly Girl Friday. We just had her, Josie Harris, come in, who was one of the Fly Girls on one of our favorite shows in Living Single back in the 90s. And let me tell you, we all couldn't wait to get home to check out what was happening with In Living Colors, right? In Living Colors, she was one of the Fly Girls, but look at her story and the power of her story and how it just evolved through time and what she's up to now, right? So, but there's so much in the vault over there that you can actually just take some time and catch up on. You never know what's in it for you. All right, so let's get into our final sip. And I want to say that some stories entertain, others liberate, but Maya Angelou didn't just write a book, she wrote truth. And the truth changed literature forever, forever. Right? So your story might not only belong in conversation, it might belong in a book. Hmm. I'm gonna leave that thought for you, right? So you know how we do. We sip slowly. So your life has meaning. I want to make sure I drill that into you. Your life has meaning. Your life. All right. Write boldly. Your voice, it matters. It matters. So if anyone has told you other than that, I want to encourage you, I want to inspire you, and I want to let you know your voice, it matters. Okay? And share your stories. Someone needs to hear this. So you know what? Share Morning Brew with them. Would you do that? Would you share Morning Brew with them? Okay. All right. And so with that, I just want to say, let me see. Yes. I want to say thank you so much for just stopping by for another Morning Brew conversation with Germaine. Now, please, guys, listen, I want to say this one last time. I want you to help a sister out and join me over on TikTok Live tomorrow, Tuesday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just stop by for the spillover. If you have a few minutes and you know you're on your phone and you're just in the midst of moving about, just go to TikTok and go to Morning Brew with Germaine. And hey, join that conversation over there. I'm gonna tell you right now, I am going to need your help. I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know because I am clueless when it comes to TikTok. And on that note, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Be safe, whatever it is you decide to do today. And remember that your story matters. It matters. Okay? All right. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.